Hi everyone, this is Karoliina, life coach for immigrants, and welcome to the first interview of 2022. Super exciting. And of course, for such a special occasion, I have a very special treat for you. Today we are going to talk to Karoliina. She is originally from Finland, and she is the owner and founder of Vella Designs. She's a Finnish-American artist and designer who loves everything DIY. If you go to her website, velladesigns.com, you will see amazing before and after photos of everything that she has done. It's pretty incredible. You will see how very talented she really, really is. But before we even get going here, I have got to tell you how Karoliina and I met. We were sitting next to each other on a plane from Amsterdam to Atlanta in September last year. It was obviously a very long flight, but it went by so fast because we talked a lot, we watched some movies, had some wine, and I really felt like it was all meant to be. Because how often does it happen that you are sitting next to someone on a plane that you can just talk and talk and talk and feel so comfortable with? So Karoliina, welcome to the show. Please tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us where you live. When did you come to the United States? What do you do? A little bit, maybe more, because I already introduced you. Go ahead.
Thank you for your kind words. I really love it. Yeah, so I'm Karoliina, and I'm from Finland originally. I currently live in Apex, North Carolina. I moved here from Howell, Michigan, where I lived since 2004. Currently, I am owner of my own business, Vella Designs. I paint kitchen cabinets and refurbish old furniture, which has been my passion for about 15 years. And I absolutely love what I do. And I just would love to encourage other women to follow their dreams. And that's what we're here to talk about today.
That's right. Yeah. So what I really want to talk to you about is what was the hardest thing for you to get used to being so far away from home? And how did you overcome that struggle?
I feel like at first, before I got married and before I had kids, I really didn't have any major struggles and things were really, really easy. And the transition from Finland to living in Michigan was pretty easy. I had a lot of Finnish friends and family there to support me. Things went well. Me and my husband got married. And then shortly after I had my first child, I soon realized how different the society was compared to Finland and especially for women, because I felt like I had to choose between a career and my children. In Finland, we have paid maternity leave for 9 months. In the US, you get 6 weeks, or if even that. The daycare costs in the US are really expensive. And then I always knew that I wanted more than just one child. So that kind of made me feel like, okay, why did I move here? Because if I would be in Finland, I could, I wouldn't have to choose between having multiple kids or my career. Like I could have my kids, put them in daycare, still work. My work days would be shorter, stuff like that. So I just
hold on.
That was probably the.
Let me ask you this, just out of curiosity, how long are the work days in Finland?
I guess it depends where you work, but I want to say 8 to 4:30, 8 to 5, instead of I felt like my husband would leave at 7:30 and come back at 6 o'clock. So I would never see my husband, and I was home alone with the kids a lot. So I just felt like in Finland, the distances to go to work, it didn't take as long. So let's say 9 to 4, typical than, having to leave super early and then coming home around 6.
Well, in this similar way, I was just curious. It depends on what you do, but a lot of the administrative workers work from 9 until 3 p.m., 6 hours a day. Right. And then they go home and I'm my brain just goes what?
I know. So, and then as my kids got older, I was really panicky putting my 5-year-old to a full-time school where the recesses weren't as long. I'm like, why do they only get one recess a day? And why are they there as many hours as I spend in high school? And he's only 5. So the anxiety just started to build up. And I'm like, I need to get my children out of this country. This is insane. In Finland, the school starts at age 6 or 7. And the days are from 9 to 12, 12:30 with 45 minutes in classroom, 15 minutes outside. And it's more like learning through play. It's not as structured, yet we learn a lot. And we have one of the best school systems in the world.
You do.
So so that's probably the biggest issue that really triggered my anxiety and unhappiness in my life. But on the other hand, I chose that, okay, I'm just going to put myself last and I'm going to stay at home with my children. And I also wanted them to learn Finnish. So I spoke Finnish to them at home as much as I could. And I tried my best. But it was also a challenge since my husband doesn't understand Finnish. So as you're in the midst of the craziness of, your mommy brain and you don't remember where anything is, and then your husband is staring at you like, okay, what's happening? And you can't even find the words in Finnish, let alone English. And then it was very hard. I feel like once you start, when you're in a multicultural family, all the traditions, then you have Christmases, you're combining different traditions. There's different foods, there's just so many different things that you don't probably even think about before you get married, before you have kids. So there's just all those things that you just kind of jump into when you're young. And then when you're living it, you're in the midst of it and you just learn and you live through it and you have to figure out your new family traditions. And it's definitely a learning process for everyone.
Yeah. So it sounds like there was a bit of like a deep overwhelm period, right? Being a mom and trying to figure everything out. And you have 3 boys, right? It's not a small task here to raise 3 boys. We're talking about a pretty major project that lasts for years.
I could say that.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your professional life.
Yeah. So we made the decision for our family that I'm going to stay at home. Before the kids, I was working as a manager at Victoria's Secret up until I was basically told by the doctor that now you need to rest because you're going to go into early labor otherwise. Mm-hmm. So I had quit working at 37 weeks pregnant. And then I made the decision that I'm not going to return back to work. I've always been really ambitious and I'm really good at sales and I always need to keep myself busy. So I quickly kind of I learned that I still needed to do my part of, doing something financially for the family because I just couldn't, as a Finnish woman, it was important to me that I still bring something on the table instead of just stayed at home with the kids. So I realized that all these high-end purses, like Guess brand was really big back then in 2010 and whenever. So you could go to Marshalls or TJ Maxx, get them for like $40 in here, whereas in Finland, they would cost $250. So I'm like, I could probably sell those from here to Finland. So that's what I did. So I created my own store online, my online store. And then I would list those online and sell and ship those to Finland and sell those ones in profit. And that way get some extra money while I was working from home and had my kids.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So that kind of started my entrepreneurial life while I was able to stay at home with the kids.
I love it because here's an opportunity, right? And what Karoliina does, she's like, well, I'm going to take it and I'm going to test it. And if it works, it works. And it did.
It did work.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay.
And then, oh my goodness, there were strollers. There were so many strollers. And anyone who knows me, they're going to laugh at this. Because I remember one of my good Finnish friends' husband came over one time to bring me something and our garage door was open. And the husband had went back home and told his wife that I've never seen any woman have so many strollers in their garage. And then my friend had left it. Yeah, Karoliina has a little problem, but it's not all for her. Like she also sells and flips strollers. I flew to Finland one time and the airline lost my son's stroller. Mm-hmm. And then I knew that Finnish people are kind of like crazy about their strollers. Like they will spend more on a stroller than on their first car. So then after the airline lost my son's stroller, I got money to buy a new stroller from the insurance. And in Finland, it's really hard to find anything, like you can't just go and buy like a $40 Graco stroller easily. So then I'm like, well, if the, insurance is going to pay for the new stroller, why not, just get a good stroller? So then I got really sucked into like these really expensive bugaboo, $1,000 strollers. So that got me an idea once I got back to the States that, hey, okay, do Americans know about these strollers? And that sucked me into like this stroller business.
Okay.
That I started to look around on Craigslist for used expensive strollers. So I would go and hunt down like used strollers from like, let's say I would invest like a couple $100 for a used stroller set. I would clean them all up. I would learn how to fix them. And then I would sell them on parts on my eBay store and flip them for profit. And my house was just always filled with strollers, but I could do it after the kids went to bed, when they were napping. And that was another extra income for the next 8 years. So there's always something that you guys can do. Just use your creative mind, people.
That's right. I mean, that's incredible. I didn't realize it was 8 years. So what happened? What was it? You woke up one day and you were like, I'm done with these strollers now.
We moved from our subdivision house into a farmhouse and then had to get rid of whatever we had left while we were moving. Then I got super busy with the house renovation. So we moved into this farmhouse and I started fixing that one up. And that kind of led me to what I'm doing now, which is painting cabinets and renovating. Like I know a lot about house renovations because that's what I love to do. We had already renovated our first house and then we moved into our farmhouse. There were a lot of issues with that, but we knew that. And instead of spending like $50,000 to have all these other people, doing new flooring and painting and all that, I'm like, hey, I'm just going to go to Home Depot, get myself a saw, some supplies, and just going to figure this out. So that's what I did. Redid all the flooring, painted everything, and just perfect thing about internet is that you can go to YouTube. You can just watch videos about how to do stuff. All you have to do is just have the passion to do it. So that's what I did. If I didn't know how to do something, I would just call around, asking people like, hey, can you help me with this? And I would watch them do that. There were some plumber friends that came over if we had plumbing issues, and I would always go there and watch them do that. They would teach me. Mm-hmm. So then I'm like, oh, I think I got it. Like I would still call a plumber. Like I would not come and fix your plumbing, but at least I understand what they're doing. So I can supervise it. I'm aware of what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So you can always learn new things. I just absolutely fell in love with fixing things. And as being a mother where everything is always messy and the kids are just, you're constantly working, you're up on your feet. You feel like you're working all the time, but your work is invisible. You feel invisible. Your kids are little. Your coffee is always cold because you have no time to drink it. And at the end of the day, when you sit down, if you can see that, hey, my wall changed the color, I did that today. Or if you fixed a stroller and you can see like, hey, it was dirty this morning, but now it works. It's shiny. I remembered how therapeutic it was to me to just see like, hey, I fixed that today. I made something from looking really bad to looking really good. It brought me so much joy. It was so fulfilling to me that I just couldn't stop. I needed to do that. So I just kept painting. I just kept finding old pieces of furniture to flip. I would just absolutely love seeing the transformation. And that's what I love to see transformation on furniture. I love to see it on people. I feel like everyone is able to do whatever they want to do. And there's always a new day and you can always start over.
Absolutely. What comes to my mind too is that when you're painting, when you're doing anything like that, that's creative, that's a meditation. It can become a meditation practice. So when you are busy during the day and then boys go to sleep and you finally have one thing that you're focusing on, right? And your brain can literally turn off all that noise and just focus on one activity. It sounds like such a beautiful balancing thing to give yourself in a day overall, right? And like you said, on top of it, I could see the progress, like something happened. There is the actual result of all of my work where I coach moms. And one of the things that keep on coming up is that so many of them don't see the value of what they're giving. And yet it's like, come on, without the motherhood, like we wouldn't be existing as a society. There would not be a normal, healthy society. Not that we're that healthy of a society, but we wouldn't have that, right? Foundation as human beings to go out there and live if we didn't have our mothers, if we didn't have the love and the sacrifice. And yet the women who do the work, the actual work, do not see what they're giving. Like the brains are always so much focused on being in service that you, the one who is giving the service, has a hard time grasping the importance of and the value of what it is that you're giving.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And I think that needs to change, because if you look at the depression rates on mothers and new mothers, I think it comes from the lack of validation. And you really do, like, you're just on autopilot, and you are just serving others, and you just feel so invisible and alone at a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. So tell me now, you were here alone all this time, right? Like raising your boys. It's not like your mom came and lived with you, or other women from Finland came to support you. It doesn't sound like that happened, right?
Yeah. So my mom always made the effort. She always came. She's now retired, which she still goes and works. God bless her. But she's a retired teacher. So she would come every February to visit me for the week that she would have off. Mm-hmm. So she would always come and visit me and the boys and help. So that was always nice. But I mean, 1 week out of a year, that's all. Yeah. And then we were able to go visit back in Finland summer of 2016 and 17, but that's about it. And then when the boys were really little, like on Christmas break. But overall, I've been here this is my 18th year in the US, probably total of like 8 weeks. So that's not really a lot.
No, not at all.
So my husband's parents, he's the only child, they live like half an hour away. So when the boys were really little, my mother-in-law was basically always helping me and with me. So she was a great help. And they still constantly text and call the boys. So they're really close. So now it's a little bit harder because we moved to North Carolina. So we can't be next to each other anymore because we grew up right next to each other, basically in Michigan. Mm-hmm. So that has been a hard change too. We were so close, and they were always available to help whenever I needed. And the boys really loved that because they were able to go and have sleepovers and just grow up with their grandparents, which was so great to have that opportunity for the kids.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Like there's a lot of things that come to mind as I'm listening to this. There was a value back in the day in the tribe and having the same people. But in the same time, the fact that we live in 21st century and you could hop on a plane and go across the world and build your life with the man that you love where you wanted. And the world is set up in such a way that, yeah, there's a lot of struggles, but you actually could do it, right? Like, in the 16th century, that was not an option.
Exactly.
However, right, when a woman gave birth, she had a whole village to help her out. Women in a village would step up and help.
Right.
Go ahead.
Right. And I do feel that because we are social animals,
yeah,
whatever you want to call humans. And that was one of my therapists said a long time ago. He said the same thing. He's like, this is so unnatural what we're doing nowadays. We're trying to do everything on our own and we're missing our village. We're missing all our support system. We're not supposed to do this on our own. And that's what everyone's trying to do. Just survive on our own. Right, we're missing the great grandparents, the parents. We're missing the people who are helping us. So no wonder everyone's going a little cuckoo.
Well, yeah, right. And the pressure is like, even if you compare just the role of a mother in 1950s, when one person was able to stay at home full time because the other person was bringing enough money, right? That model of a family. Right. Now a female has to go to work, raise her kids, like what you're doing, which is your therapist said, it's almost like unnatural to have that many responsibilities for it to be sustainable. But another thing that comes to my mind too is that when there is a closely knit community, then the children are exposed to different types of personalities. and within
Right.
people, right? And there's all these different dynamics, social dynamics that they can observe, and how we handle conflict and all of that, all of the beautiful things that are necessary to be a compassionate, intelligent, emotionally human being. And yet, yeah, we're missing some of that big time because we're not as connected.
Right. That's a good point. I love that point of view. And it's really sad, but yeah, but you're right. And I wish that we would take care of each other more, and hopefully the next generations will kind of appreciate the village more and help each other out. I do feel like we're going back there though.
Mm-hmm. I feel like, I mean, a lot of it depends on us, right? Because we have our neighborhoods. We can create tight-knit neighborhood villages.
Yeah,
possible.
and I feel like that. Yeah, exactly. And I feel like that is happening. And I'm so grateful for my own neighbors. I have very, very tight neighborhood and community who are always willing to help. And I feel like you're one of those healers too. So thank you for that. But anyway, yeah.
Absolutely. Oh, cool. All right. So how long have you had your Vella designs now?
So I started. This is a really new business. So I started this one last May. So 2021. After I finally pulled the trigger, after years of people telling me that you should probably start your own business. But back in Michigan, like I said, we lived in the farm setting. I had my chickens and my ducks, and I just did my furniture out of, like, I refinished furniture out of my 3-car garage that never saw any cars in there because it was just covered with furniture and other projects. Was just busy. There's always an excuse. And then we moved here. And then COVID happened. So kids were all back at home again. No one was in school. Nothing happened. Then I started working for another local company, cabinet company. And it's a very, very wonderful couple who I'm very grateful for, because they just kind of helped me find myself and my passion again after I was kind of down from COVID and everything. And after working there for a few months, just really opened my eyes again of like, oh yeah, this is who I am. They really helped me find myself again and my passion. And then actually my au pair family, who was kind of like my second family by now back in Michigan, they're like, well, you should just go and, do your own thing. And you're really good at this, and, just believe in yourself. And they're just really just cheering me on. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. Like there was once again, like that doubt in my mind, like, I don't think I should. It's like, what if I fail? And they're just like, but then they're like, yeah, but what if you succeed? Like, just like, no excuses, just do it. And I'm like, okay, like, I'll do it. I'll try. And I'm so happy that I listened to them, because I'm just so, for the first time in so long, I feel like I'm finally doing something for myself and not only for my children. And I feel like I'm actually a bit better mom for that, because it gives me energy and empowerment of just who I am. And I'm realizing that, oh, I'm my own person. I'm not only the mom and the wife. There's something just for me. And then I get more energy out of that. And I'm finding myself again and doing what I love to do. And I'm meeting new people. I absolutely love it. Really, I really hope that other women out there, especially women, will just quiet down that voice that says that I don't think I can do it. Just do it. Just try it.
Yeah. It's interesting you're mentioning that voice, because I actually, the self-confidence bootcamp that I have, one of the things that I explain in there is that if you allow for that automatic voice to come up, and it will be coming because it's coming from the lower part of the brain that's trying to protect you, right? Because the Karoliina, before she took that risk, she knew her reality that was safe, right? So the part of the brain that's like scanning your reality for threat took the idea of you starting a business as a threat. And it was convincing you over and over and over that it's a bad idea. What if you fail? What if you fail, right? And it's supposed to do that. The part of the brain is actually supposed to be doing it. However, it's always sabotaging our progress. And one of the things that I teach is how to step into the higher part of the brain, which it sounds like your friends and host family were that part for you, where they're like, what if something goes right? To balance that negative that's always coming from the lower part of the brain, and that's creating all that self-doubt. So really, evolution creates us to be full of insecurities, because we're supposed to be sitting on our couches eating chips all the time, staying in their safety zones, And I'm so glad that you have listened, because there's so many wonderful things that came out of it for you.
And I for those people who don't have that host family sort of setting, they definitely, I recommend talking to someone like you, because I do feel that it's important to have someone who really encourages you, like great teacher, someone, because otherwise it's really hard getting there on your own. You really sometimes need that tiny little push and encouragement to just do it. So I hope that you and I, or whoever it is, can just maybe be that inspiration for someone today.
I agree with you too. And that's the thing, right? Like, I have my coaches, you have your people. We need our support systems to be able to show up the way we're showing up, to have the courage and strength to face our days. We need someone to remind us how amazing we are. Like, we can do it for ourselves, but it's nice to have someone else reminding you of your potential. So I agree with you, definitely. And thank you so much for being an inspiration here on my show and sharing your story. And I hope that the immigrant moms that are out there feel inspired by the innovation that you have shown in your life, right? Seeing the opportunity and taking it. That is such an important thing. Trying, even if you fail, well, so what? You've learned something from trying, right? That's always better than just sitting there and doubting yourself. But Karoliina, please tell us, where can we find you on a website? If anyone would like to hire you, where can they go to learn more about you?
You can hop on velladesigns.com, or you can find me on Facebook or Instagram under Vella Designs NC. And also, I do have to say that my kids did survive, even though they did go to school full time at age 5. So it's all about adapting. And by the time the third one went to school, I'm like, just get in there. You're going to be fine. It's not as bad. You just different cultures, different systems, but we all made it.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a friend from Germany who has the same philosophy. She is just very, very mindful. She's a very mindful mom and has always been very mindful of the fact that there is the system that wants things to be a certain way. And then there's also her and her wisdom. And there can be a meeting somewhere there and compromise. Yeah.
Yeah. Because otherwise you're just going to drive yourself nuts comparing. And once I let that comparing go, I felt the freedom of like, okay, you know what? There's not a perfect system. You're here now. We need to make the best of ourselves here. That's it. And it's going to be fine. Like if I would have been born here, I wouldn't know about the other system. So what can we do about it?
Love it.
So that's what we just need to do. So I just wanted to leave it on a positive note.
Absolutely. Yes. And so much has to be said about acceptance, right, of the situation you were in, because arguing with reality is what a lot of us will do. And I'm an expert at that. So now what I'm talking about. Karoliina, thank you so much. This was such a pleasure to have you here. I really, really appreciate you coming on, sharing your wisdom, inspiring my listeners. Have a wonderful the rest of this year, 2022. We just walked into it. I hope that this is the best year of your life, and that the next one that comes will be even better, and things just keep on improving for you.
Thank you, Evelina.
You're very
all
welcome.
right. Well, I'm so impressed that I met you on that plane.
No, that was incredible. All right. Thanks so much for listening, you guys. We'll talk to you on February 11th. Bye-bye. Hey, everyone. I am looking for older women filled with self-doubt. Do you question yourself a lot? Do you feel confused or overwhelmed often? Yes? It sounds like you need my help. Come check out my Self-Confidence Bootcamp. It's a 1-month-long program designed to empower women. Want to learn more? Look for the link in the description of this show.